There's one. There's
Yeah.
one. Oh yeah, there we go. Bring it in. How's it going, folks? And welcome back to TRF. In this episode, we're gonna talk about springtime bass fishing. Oh, and some simple tips, 2 of them in fact, to help you catch more big spring bass. My name's Tyler. Let's talk about it. Well, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Tyler's Reel Fishing. My goal here in this channel is to help you guys become better bass anglers with every single video that I make, and so if that describes you, somebody who wants to get better at catching bass, hit that subscribe button. Now, today I have a special guest. As you guys heard in the intro there, it is a good friend of mine, business partner, and it is Mr. Mike Mehlman, the creator and, are you the CEO?
Oh, I don't like to use that term unless you're like a multi-billion-dollar company.
Okay.
No, just the co-founder
of Bass Forecast, an awesome, what we're calling it now is a software platform.
It is a software engineered to help anglers understand how the weather's affecting the bite.
Yeah.
And it's indexed specifically for the preferred temperature range of bass.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that here in a little bit, but you guys know from the intro, we're going to talk about 2 major tips to help you catch more bass and hopefully bigger bass in the springtime. We both love to tell stories. You're going to hear a few stories, and then we're going to get back out on the water. So the first thing is going to be the sponsor of this video and this channel, and it's a huge tip that's actually pretty applicable to you guys, and that is to check the Bass Forecast app. So if you don't know what it is a software, like he said, that helps you catch more fish and really have a better understanding of what's going on in your bodies of water. And so we'll kind of talk about how I use this software to help plan my fishing trips. But I want to talk to Mike real quick, kind of what caused you to want to start a software to help anglers?
You know, I've been a fan of how the weather affects bass fishing my whole life.
Yeah.
In fact, I was going to be a fisheries biologist my first 2 years in college, and then I switched.
Yeah.
But I've never fell out of love with how the weather affects fishing, and we all know it. I mean, I've been on the wrong side of you should have been here yesterday too many times.
Exactly.
And then I met a gentleman from AccuWeather.
So the general pitch, tell me if I'm wrong here, is that for you guys who might be wondering, Tyler, this is a whole bunch of deep fishing jargon. I don't know what kind of software you're talking about. It's basically a fishing, for the layman, it's a fishing app where you put in your location, it spits out actual helpful data with almost no work for you. So there's almost no inputs. You can select whether you're fishing around weeds, wood, or rock. But besides that, for the lure recommendations, everything else is based on weather. They have the best weather system out there. And the reason why I'm including this in my top 2 tips to catch big, pre-spawn spring bass is because if you don't show up to the lake prepared, you might not put yourself in the best position to catch fish. You might still catch fish. You might get lucky out there and catch a big one on something that isn't the best lure for the day, or a technique or a speed of retrieve that's not the best for the day. And so if you had known what the weather and the past weather tells you is going to be successful on this day, which by the way is incredibly accurate on this app, and if it's wrong, I tell Mike and we fix it and fix the algorithm. And so it just helps you to plan your fishing days. So I don't care if you're a bank fisherman, kayak fisherman, or you're in a bass boat for a tournament, Bass Forecast can help you. So I'm glad to have Mike here. He is a wizard, and like I said, Bass Forecast has been awesome. If you guys want to check out the app, it'll be linked below. And with our app, you get a $10 Tackle Warehouse gift card, correct?
That's right.
So
spend 10, get 10.
You spend $10 for the entire year. You spend more than $10 on a lure. You use this thing for the entire year. It helps you on every single fishing trip, and you get your $10 back to spend at Tackle Warehouse. So I don't see a downside to you.
I don't.
No, I don't see that.
And it's really easy to use.
But I say we move on to tip number 2. And that is one that is so practical, it's dumb. And it is that oftentimes anglers are fishing the wrong direction in the springtime. And so Mike, tell them about tip number 2. What are we recommending that, at least I have a story to tell here in a second, to help people at least put their lure in front of more big ones?
Well, yeah, in the pre-spawn in particular, you know, a lot of times anglers are sitting on top of the big females and catching the small males. So yeah, it's far better to parallel as close as you can the shoreline to the area that you want to fish, and then get as shallow as you can and fish from deep to shallow.
Yeah.
For two reasons. Number one, you want to catch those bigger females.
Of course, yes.
And number two, and again, giant bass are different than smaller bass.
Yeah.
Research has shown that giant bass prefer to ambush prey from shallow to deep, which makes sense because when the prey has less areas to escape.
You mean deep to shallow? Like they're looking,
yeah, right.
They're looking
I'm sorry.
shallow.
Yeah, they're looking from deep to shallow, right? So that makes a lot of sense too.
Correct.
And since I've been doing that over the past, let's say, probably 7 to 10 years, my average size of bass has gone way up.
Exactly.
So that's a big tip for anyone.
And he's talking about he fishes a lot of ponds and small lakes. I fish a decent amount of those, but I also fish huge lakes for tournaments. And I got a story to tell. So when I was in college, my freshman year at Lake Somerville, which is a small, relatively shallow, kind of dirty lake in East Texas, I was catching them shallow in practice, and not a whole lot, but you know, a decent amount of good fish. And then we had a cold front hit the night of the tournament. And I didn't adjust at all. I thought the big fish would still be up shallow, but it turns out from talking to guys who caught 20 plus pounds and won the tournament that they were putting their boat shallower and either paralleling in that deeper water column or casting deep and bringing their lures back shallow. And it could have been that the bass had just moved deeper for a second, or there were actually fish spawning deeper than your eye could see, which I found is a fact of life, that big ones don't really spawn all that shallow. And so if you are sitting in your kayak, your john boat, your bass boat, and I know it's counterintuitive, but usually you like to throw with your boat out deep when you're throwing shallow, try this pre-spawn and this spawn to move your boat or your watercraft, or if you're on the bank, and move it shallower and make those parallel or deeper casts and fish even slower. That is my biggest tip always for the springtime, is to fish slow, drag a worm around, drag a creature bait, and you're gonna find bigger average bass. So I say, unless you have any last parting words.
Goonga Galunga.
Goonga Galunga. What does that mean? Well, with Goonga Galunga, we're gonna head back in the water, catch some fish using these exact tactics we're talking about. Again, Mike has designed an incredible piece of software, and you guys know that I don't talk about a product unless I know that it works and it helps you in accomplishing the goal that I have here on this channel to help y'all catch more fish. And so hopefully you guys learn some things. Now let's have some fun, catch some fish, am I right?
Let's do it.
All right. It's possible. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Spot lock on.
Uh-oh. Mike Melman. Oh, Mike got a big one, folks.
We're on the this edge I was talking about.
Hey!
Ooh, hey!
That's a 7-pounder, my friend. Again, working from deep to shallow. Come show this camera right here, my friend.
Great boat control by Tyler. Front coming in. This fish was pushed up on top of that, Tyler.
Yeah.
I don't know if he saw it coming out of deep water, but she, I should say, hit right at the top.
That is fantastic. Ugh, close to 7?
Close to 7, yeah?
Yeah.
Want to weigh her or get her back in the water quick?
I say we get her back in the water, it's cold.
Okay, great.
Alrighty.
We'll head first, get her some oxygen.
Woo! Boom!
Boom.
Boom!
And I just caught her on a swim bait. This is a Keitech 4.8 perch color. And the reason I chose this is it was one of the Bass Forecast recommendations for pre-spawn, which is the pattern that we're in today. Now this front's gonna bring in a winter pattern. So maybe in 3 or 4 days, I'd have to drop shot another 10 feet out to get that fish.
Exactly.
So,
cool.
Anyway.
Oh, I've got one. I've got one. Oh, let's go, baby.
Good one?
Let's go. I got a good one.
Can I net her for you?
I think I'll be able to lip her. Oh, she got off. Dang it.
You let up for a second.
Ah!
Saw you let up for a second. You should have just let me net her. What were you reaching for?
I was getting the rods out of my way. Oh, I got slack line. Man, holy cow. Holy cow. Let's
You want a net?
yeah, I want the net.
Okay.
Also power pulling down. I'm bringing it in. Hey, hey! Stinking bigot, baby!
Bigot.
That right there, folks, is what you like to see. The app told me to throw slow moving baits, so I'm fishing this vibrating jig as slow as I possibly can, but it's windy, that's why I'm still throwing a moving bait to cover water. And that right there is the size fish you want to see. Heck yeah. Let's keep catching them.
Right there. 1, 2, 3. Come on, baby.
And, oh,
No way.
Huh?
Did you just call that?
Yeah, did I just call that 1, 2, 3?
That's hilarious because Mike was, that's so funny. You probably couldn't hear that, but Mike made a cast over here and he said, look at that. That looks like it has a fish on it. And he said 1, 2, 3 and set the hook on 3. That was,
You know how I knew that?
how'd you know that?
Okay, you just caught this fish in a cut right here.
Yeah.
6 last week, 4 this week. That's fish.
Got one
You got one?
on the worm. Oh, nice one. Nice one. Gonna spot lock us. Bring it up in here. I got 17-pound line.
Look at that fish. It swallowed this.
Bring it up in here. Let's
That was a
go,
little better.
baby. Woo!
Another 4, that 4.5 to 5?
Chill. I'd say it's about a 4.5 to 5.
Yeah.
Look at that thing. Mike, bring it up in here. It's
right.
not often that you get a double up with
Double.
some good buddies. I'll let you take the one that I missed so I could have caught this one. Heck yeah. Let's go. There's one. There's one. Oh, nice one. Net, please. Net, please.
Net.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Net. Net.
Coming.
Come on in. Come
Coming
on.
right up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go, baby. All right. And with that fish right there, folks, I think we're going to end this episode. Thanks to Mr. Mike Mehlman for being our special guest and introducing us to some of the intricacies of Bass Forecast. It's getting
Great
cold.
fish.
It's getting cold out here.
It is.
It's going from pre-spawn to winter very quick. So with this fish, we'll see you guys next time right here on TRF.
You know, I've been a fan of how the weather affects bass fishing my whole life.
Yeah.
In fact, I was going to be a fisheries biologist my first 2 years in college, and then I switched.
Yeah.
But I've never fell out of love with how the weather affects fishing, and we all know it. I mean, I've been on the wrong side of you should have been here yesterday too many times.
Exactly.
And then I met a gentleman from AccuWeather in the process of doing some business, and I commented to him. I said, you know, your fishing forecast is not very accurate. And he said, why? I said, well, a bass prefers warm water, a trout cold water.
Mm-hmm.
How can one singular forecast be accurate? And this was 5 years ago, and he and I started looking at all these different forecasts and realized that really at that point, you know, the fishing forecasting market was a joke. It was just lipstick on a pig weather forecast, right? You know, pros know how to do this. Pros know how the water's trending, and they can make projections without even needing, you know, way ahead of time.
Yeah.
And we wanted to help anglers do that because anglers usually get to the lake and then like, I didn't bring something I need, or I should have been here 2 days ago, or next weekend's going to be like phenomenal odds, and odds doesn't always mean you're going to catch more, but if you stack them in your favor, eventually, you know, over the course of a year, you will.
Exactly.
And so that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to create something that would give anglers a heads up on best days to fish, and if you know, like you're fishing scheduled a lot, and if it's highly scheduled, then a lot of tournament and sharper anglers use us to understand how the changing weather might be affecting the bite, right?
Yeah.
You know, like here.
Exactly.
Like here. I mean, we're in and out of winter and pre-spawn pattern.
Back and forth.
Yeah. In fact, that's part of why I picked this day.
Correct.
I got a happy alert, a buddy alert from Bass Forecast about 10 days ago that said February 2nd, February 1st are going to be epic days, and February 3rd was going to be a tough day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, there must be a front coming through, and sure enough,
Correct.
here we are at 60 degrees. At 10 in the morning, it's going to be in the 30s by 3 this afternoon.
Yeah.
And so it's really important to try to catch those windows this time of year, and that's when we're really valuable, probably from February through July, early July.
Yeah.
But that was the motivation, Tyler,
Okay.
to come up with something much better, much more scientific that indexes specifically for bass.
Exactly.
To help anglers understand best days. And then we use we try to stay scientific. You know, our pattern matching formula is not my opinion. It's based on
Correct.
decades and decades of best practices from Bassmaster, InFisherman, magazines, books, YouTube channels, Wired to Fish, Bass Resource.
Exactly.
And tried to get it, you know, because I ran the outcomes by you and Alton, and you guys agreed with just about everything and only had a few minor tweaks, and that was because we really, you know, we spent 18 months researching it.
Exactly.
So we want to make it easy too for anglers to just put in your location, and it'll come up with the recommendations.
Yeah.
You know, we use several layers of past water temperature and air temperature data.
Yeah.
And then we did a lot of studies on how long does it take for the water to reach the air temperature.
Okay.
At what depth. So the water engineering aspect of this was almost as important as the fisheries biology aspect.
Gotcha.
Right? And And then, we index when it's a warming trend, because you've said this many times, and it's so true. All anglers know this. When it's trending toward their preferred range, they're going to be more active. When it's trending away, less active.
Correct.
In the spring, when it's 55 degrees and it's been 30 all winter, you're like, hey, I feel good in a t-shirt, right? But if it's 80 degrees and it's 55, ooh, I feel cold.
Yeah.
That all goes into our algorithm as well.
Yeah.
So and it's all aimed just at bass.
All aimed at bass. This is bass forecast. This ain't trout forecast.